I struggled all the way from primary school, secondary school. But all I knew is that I wanted engineering, electrical, and not in a technical college. I wanted MAK. But my math, generally my sciences, my sciences were nothing to write home about. Let me just leave it there. It wasn't well at all. But somehow, whenever the year ended, somehow I managed to get into the next class. Get into the next class. So senior 6, I was at McCarry College School. And I prayed, I said, Lord, engineering, electrical engineering. I was so fired up. I even got a word of knowledge from somebody. He said, you are going to McCarry electrical engineering. Senior 6, but meanwhile, my grades, I was getting O, E, if I'm lucky, D. And if there's a time I got they marked my math paper, senior 5, I think, and I had got 9% in math. The teacher, he put on the 0, he put eyes, he put a mouth, and eyebrows. Saying, now I'm dead. But I had a word from the Lord. The Lord was really, somebody came to a fellowship like this one and said, you're going to McCarry for electrical engineering. But my grades were talking their own things. So I shouted, I celebrated, I said, hallelujah. I sat for my S6. I think I got 2 O's. 2 O's and an E, if I remember correctly. So I went back to God and I said, now, why did you hype me up? But I said, Lord, I want to do engineering. That is what is on my heart. I want to do engineering. So the Lord spoke to me. He said, you know, what you do, go to Busoga College in Muiri. Now, in my head, Muiri, I've never been there. I didn't know anyone. But in my head, from some of the stories that I heard of Muiri, and even my mental picture of Muiri, I thought of it as like Baghdad or Afghanistan, where in the windows there are no windows. The students are just walking around like roommates. That was but the Lord said go to Muiri. So I talked to my parents, they asked for a place there, and they took me there. And I arrived when there were 3 weeks to exams. 3 weeks to the end of first term. In those days, our S6 vacation was a real party. I think it was 3 months, 4 months, or something like that. But I arrived 3 weeks to the exams, end of first term. So the school was not what I expected it would be. Okay, it wasn't as bad. Let me put it that way. It had its issues. It had fine. The windows were there, praise the Lord. But the glass was missing. Don't know whether the difference is the same, but so it was like that. But my point is that I arrived and settled in. The Lord began to give me instructions. You do this. You change your studying like this. End of first term came, but long story short. End of first term came. For the first time, I went home with 2 A's and a B. So this is what happens when you refocus your worship. Because before, all I had was 2 up to 5%. And the rest of it, I was just trying to figure out. I try this one, it doesn't work. I try this one, it doesn't work. I kept going. But the moment I responded to the Holy Spirit and I purposed in my heart that everything that I do on this journey shall be ordered of the Lord, everything began to line up. That is what happens when you refocus your worship. When you refocus your worship. So I went first term, second term, it was the same thing. I got where I was before at MAK College, I was struggling. I was the kind of guy that always went on. You go, I mean, you do the number. Those guys in school, in class, where a teacher sets the number, and then they show you how it's done on the board. 3 minutes, the guy is done. He seems to know. He seems to know the next step before he even goes there. Before he writes it on the board. For you, you're going to the calculator. The guy knows. Yeah? 5 cos theta, 5 cos 30 degrees. The guy gives you the answer there, and one day you say, "What? This guy is." And for you, they say, "Have you understood? Yes. Have you understood? Yes." And then they rub it off. And they give you the choke that now you do. And I would scratch and scratch and scratch. So I was consulting, but the moment my life changed because of what I had done with my worship, the one that used to consult, people were now coming to ask me questions. So what I'm trying to tell you is that worship fixes things. True worship fixes things. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So I passed my career. I passed. They took me in on government sponsorship. So that was my faculty just there. So whenever I pass there, I get a lot of memories. I settled in there. Did first year, second year, third year, fourth year. I don't say that it was easy still when I was there, but I used the formula that had worked for me in senior 6. It's the same formula that I applied here. Focusing on true worship. Focusing on true worship. When you need to be in the presence of the Lord, singing and worshiping the Lord in that element, you make sure you cover the 2 to the 5%. Then from the 5%, you cover the rest of the distance. The rest of the distance. I finished, I graduated in 99. From there, I moved, I wasn't sub. In those days, we used to have Uganda electricity board. Now it is UET, Uganda electricity transmission, between UTCL, now you have to mainly. But in those days, all of that was one element. As soon as I left campus, they were not supposed to recruit engineers in that year. But the moment we finished, they opened up for recruitment. So the moment I left Makerere, I wasn't doing this. Immediately I landed. Why? Because of true worship. Because of true worship. I worked for them. A couple of years they unbundled. I was retained with UETCL, Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited. I was in charge of the substations, these big substations that you see. I was one of the guys doing the repairs in there and the installations and all of that kind of thing. So we did all of that, finished. Then I left, I moved into a consultancy firm called Newton and Limited. And along the way, definitely, I met my beautiful wife. So from there, we started our journey where I think we got married, 2 years after campus, 2 years after university. The rest is a really, I really can't go into the details. But what I'm trying to say is that from there, it has been a wonderful journey. At a certain point in time, they said we couldn't have children because we had a major operation. 1 week after our wedding. But the Lord fixed it still because of true worship. 21 years up the road, is it up the road or down the road? Okay, somewhere on the road. The guys that they said were not likely, we're not going to have children. We have 4. One is in senior 6. The other one is in senior 4. The other one is in senior 1. The other one is in B6.